Hey guys, it is me, Laura, and I thought I would go ahead and do a quick homeschooling update. Things have changed in our house quite a bit since the last time I talked to you. We were kind of going through the My Father's World curriculum, and while Samuel was loving some of the things in there, it just wasn't quite fitting for us. He wasn't challenged enough, he was just kind of restless, and I've been doing a lot of reading anyway, and I was really actually wanting to do a blog post about this, but having a hard time in written form getting my thoughts out. So I finally decided this is just way better for a vlog. So I'm going to vlog it, and then any links or anything I mentioned below I will also include in a blog post. And if you aren't familiar with my blog, don't worry, I don't post there a whole lot, but I'm starting to again. It's JesusFeet@wordpress.com. So you can find the link in my profile thing, channel description. There we go, on YouTube. But Samuel is a very bright little boy, and he is a little sponge of information. And I've always really kind of wanted to do homeschool as a way to adapt to my children and meet their needs. And I've had a hard time looking around and trying to figure out what way would be best. And I always thought I would kind of be a unit study kind of gal, you know, where you pick a topic and study it with the kids and have a lot of fun. And we might do some of those as the boys get older. But it's just not been working really well for Samuel. And I am a big proponent, especially of this age, to do child-led, but I'm not a huge fan of unschooling, in that I feel like it's good to sometimes encourage children to step outside of the box a little bit more. So I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of research. This book, especially the first half, it's called Better Late Than Early by Raymond Moore. This is actually one of the first homeschooling books that came out, and the first part of this book is all about the research. His whole idea and philosophy is that it's better not to start kids in a formal sort of education until they're about 8 or 10. That includes learning to read. And the research in this book, and more research that I've been doing, really seems to back that up, which really isn't a shock for me. Now, that doesn't mean if your 6-year-old is really excited and eager and wants to learn that you say, no, you can't read. It just means that you don't start giving them that structure and making them sit down and be worried about it and really pushing it until they're that age. And there's a lot of reasons for this. The development of their visual development, the development of their mentally being able to put things together and process them, and anyway, there's just a lot of stuff. So that, coupled with, like I said, other research that I can link to, and other articles that I'll link to on my blog, as well as just watching Samuel, for some reason, I love school. I've always loved school. I'm a teacher, and so I was so excited about getting in and doing these hands-on themed activities and planning this stuff. But then I realized, that's not really how a toddler learns. He's flipped from thing to thing, and when he really gets interested in something, he wants to really do it, but it's just kind of all over the place. So what we've been doing is I have set up the living room a little bit better. We got a new train table, so we reorganized everything. And I have one bookshelf that is completely filled with my stuff, and I've got educational games and books and arts and crafts supplies and all those kinds of things. And then we have one bookshelf, the brown bookshelf, that has books for, Timothy's got a bin of books and Samuel's got a bin of books, and then it has things that I pick out for them. I've got a thing of workbooks for Samuel that he likes to do sometimes. I've got some arts and crafts materials that he can have access to whenever. They're weed eating next door. I hope you can still hear me. But materials that he can have access to whenever he wants. And then a few key toys that I pick out that I think are developmentally appropriate for them where they are, that'll challenge them, that'll encourage them. And then they have their bookshelf, their toy bookshelf, which is the white toy bookshelf, and we rotate toys out. They choose what goes on that shelf, they choose what they put away. And that's kind of how it's set up. And every day during Timothy's nap, Samuel and I have one-on-one time, and during that time he picks what we do. Sometimes we play outside and he has good imaginative play and is learning in that way or growing in his gross motor skills. Some days we play a game, which most games have some sort of educational component to them, and he's learning and growing that way. Sometimes he picks the magnet letters and we play with that. Sometimes we do a craft, an art activity. And then there's times that I do things, like I sent away, you'll see in the video, but I sent away for some ants for his ant farm, and so I kind of headed that up, and so we've been watching his ants and talking about them and looking at books about ants and doing things like that. But it's kind of, the ants came and he's been really excited about it, but it's kind of been at his own pace, which has been really good for his age. I've also changed the way that I do things when I go to the library, because, for example, when we had an apple theme, he really didn't care much about apples, but I'd gotten tons of these library books about apples, and he was interested in maybe one or two of them, but then there wasn't a whole lot of variety. So now, when I go to the library, I go to the nonfiction section, and I am working my way through the whole thing. So I'll go to the library and start on the top shelves and go through all the top shelves and pick out any books that I think he could remotely be interested in, and I get them until I get to the certain amount of books that I'm looking for that week, then I stop, or that month, and then I stop, and when I go back the next time I pick up where I left off. And what that does, instead of going down on the shelves vertically, going horizontally, I'm hitting all kinds of stuff. Like this time we got stuff on how houses are built, and Samuel and I just read a book about peregrine falcons, and then he wanted to see how they dove, so we looked up a video on YouTube and watched and learned about peregrine falcons. There's books in there about sloths and about how bicycles work and how cars go and just all these things. And then if I notice that there's something he's particularly interested in, we'll get more books, or we'll look up online, or we might do projects with that. And this kind of learning, it's way less stressful for me because I don't really have to plan ahead. His excitement is what's fueling our fire for learning, and I just think that this is going to be a good method for us for a while until he's a little bit older, and at that point we'll structure things. And I'm not someone who thinks that, I think there comes a point where his learning will need to be guided a little bit more, but I think for right now, this is just perfect for him. He's soaking it up. We're reading so many books constantly. I'm having to go to the library more frequently and he wants me to read books over and over again. He's just absorbing it. He's learning. We're excited about learning. It's just going so well. So anyway, that is where we are with our home education right now. It's nice too because there's no stress. For example, with learning about letters, we still, it's our tradition on when we make pancakes, we make letter pancakes, and he'll want to learn letters and ask what that spells and ask for particular letters or ask us for a new letter that he doesn't know yet. And so it's not that he's not continuing to get exposure to those things. He is. It's just if he doesn't learn it, it's not that big of a deal right now. So it's fun. This has been really good for us. I'm still using, every once in a while, I'll still reference the My Father's World stuff to look up books on particular topics that he might be interested in, or I'm using a lot of their supplemental stuff still. When we've been doing the anthill, I've been looking to see what activities they have that he might do. We're still using their memory verses, and that program is working really well. But it's just a much more laid-back approach that I think is much more age-appropriate, and it's just working so well for Samuel. So anyway, this video is getting long, and I've got to insert a clip still, so I will go. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and once I get the blog post written, I will link it below so that you guys can check out all of my my references or other articles and clips and things like that. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.